Hi everyone, in this tutorial I am going to simply show you about crop marks and bleed and just how to get that right for your business cards and just everything else that you're creating at this point in time. Alright, so there are a couple of ways in which you can add bleed, okay? We're going to go to create new. So this is like when you were just creating your document. You could have added the bleed here. So I have the business card size, which is 3.5 by 2 inches, as you can see here. And it gives me this section here that asks me what bleed do I want to insert. And this is usually at 0 here. So I could go ahead and put this to 1/8 of an inch, which is 0.125, which is this right here. And it automatically creates the bleed. Now please note that this is selected so that all of these are the same size bleed around the edges, right? So it's not a case where some are, one size bleed. But if you wanted that, you could deselect that, right? And you could make each of these the bleed size that you want. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to leave this as is at 0.125 inches of bleed, and I am going to press create. So this is going to create my business card size for me. And as you can see, the bleed is outlined here by this red line, which is right around the edge of your business card that you have. And I want to, if say for example, which may be the case for most of you, you have all your artwork done and you want to add bleed at this point in time, you could simply go file. You could go into document setup, and once you go into document setup, it will give you the option here of creating the bleed. So we have several options in terms of how to create this bleed. If I wanted to kill the bleed, I could put this back to 0. My bleed disappears. Go file, document setup again. I can make this bleed as big as, 1/2 inch if I wanted, which is way too big in terms of what I want. So I'm going to go back in and just change that bleed back down to 1/8 of an inch. All right, so that makes more sense based off of the document that I have. Now this is the way in which that you would go ahead and you would create your bleed. So you have your artboard here, as you can see, and your bleed is in. Okay, great, excellent. Here's the other option, by the way. If you're actually in the document and you go into properties tab, you could click document setup from here, and you can do the same thing in terms of editing your bleed. All right, so now you want to add the crop marks, which is going to guide persons on where exactly you want to crop, right? Now when you're adding crop marks, let's say for example I'm going to create in here, let's do a square. I'm going to change this color to a nice blue, and I am going to go ahead and create something that is kind of like this. Okay, so I put a square in here, and a rectangle in here, and so we have our artwork that is already in here. Please know that if it is a case where you're going to go and apply crop marks, the crop marks are actually going to apply to the furthest edge of your artwork. So let's go effect and let's go crop marks, and it's going to apply. I'm going to go apply crop marks. Alright, so as you can see here, not sure what happened there, but as you can see here, my crop marks are applied. Now I want you to note that my crop marks are actually applied towards the edge of this blue line. So as you can see, it's not coming to the edge of my artboard that I actually wanted here. It's actually coming over onto this blue line right here. And that's not where we want our crop marks, right? We want our crop marks to be applied at the edge of our artboard. Okay, as you can see, it's all the way up here, and that's really not what we want at all. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna adjust our artwork to be the size of the actual artboard itself. And as you can see, as I adjust this, it is going to put the crop marks exactly where I want it to be, because it's using that rectangle or that square in order to be able to determine the crop marks. Either way, I could have gone in here and I could have applied a different set of crop marks and applied a new effect, and this time around it would actually give me the crop marks, as you can see here, that are going to match up exactly with this. So the easy thing to do, especially if it is a case where you already have, you know, artwork that is created and everything, you can simply put like, a square or rectangle, whatever it is, and throw that in the background of everything that you've already created, and use that to be the guide for the crop marks. So past that, I can always add additional artwork, to whatever it is that I want to do. I can add, if it's a case where I am I'm just showing you an example here. Business card, and I'm gonna make this in white, and I'm just giving you an example here. I could always go ahead and take off this terrible stroke that is right here. All right, so I go stroke, and I can just get rid of the stroke, right? And it's the same thing for this background as well. I could simply just go ahead and get rid of stroke. So we have our concept of our business card, that is nicely done, and we could put all the necessary details that is here. But I want you to understand the whole concept of the crop effects, and I'm going to, once again, as you can see, you can't see any bleed here for this document, so I'm going to go document setup. Just make sure that my bleed is in there. It is in there even though you aren't seeing it. My bleed is definitely in there. And so you just want to make sure as well that it's a case where you're bringing your artwork right to the edges. Maybe you could overlap the edges. It's up to you what you want to do, but you want to bring it right there. And this is just a very good example of how it is that you can go ahead and set up your bleed and set up your crop marks for your printing, as you would have been required to go ahead and do for this particular tutorial. All right, hope this helps.